Namaskar. Welcome to a special edition of DGI 385. And today we're going to talk about a specific company, FTX. How does a cryptocurrency company go from $32 billion evaluation to zero in just a matter of 3 weeks? To know all about this, let's welcome our guest, our co-host, Sridhar Chityala ji, who has done some research on this, and he's going to share his thoughts on what went wrong. Sridhar ji, take it away, sir.
Namaskar. Good evening, good morning to you. And so we come to FTX, the much talked about topic, which is shaking the rudimentary principles of investing and trading in this digital world. And FTX stands for Futures Exchange. It creates an ecosystem for traders and investors to seamlessly operate and make money to everybody. No different to if you're going into Las Vegas, any one of those venues. So what's happening with FTX, as Sriji rightly pointed out, it went up to zillions of dollars of valuation, and then all of a sudden it's gone into oblivion. They filed bankruptcy, and now we'll see what comes out as the bankruptcy proceedings comes to a closure and the law enforcement or the legal process takes over. So, as is often the case, there is innovation, there is commercialization. As far as innovation is concerned, what is it about? It's about creating new mechanisms by which you disrupt and you transact business. So did anything go wrong with innovation as far as FTX is concerned? No, they operated an exchange. They had 1 million customers. It's been in operations in 2019, if I'm correct, established in 2017. Some very well-educated and high-known geeks. And it had investors which are called marquee names in the industry, SoftBank, Tiger Global, Temasek, and so on. They probably had their equal amount of quant specialists doing and drilling the numbers and determining, when we put capital at what valuation we will be and what future valuation that it would derive. All academic and models which are based on, speculation as well as some very sophisticated or unsophisticated algorithms, Sriji. So what happened? Why did it kind of all of a sudden fall apart? It's very simple that they had two businesses. One is the FTX, and the same Sam Beekman-Fried had a research company, which is called Alameda Research. And he used Alameda Research to effectively trade in speculative markets like derivatives, options, etc. Why? Because you want to demonstrate to the investors that you got a robust business model in which, if I have to use the word, you take deposits on one side, you invest those deposits on the other side, or you have a trading arm which invests and generates some money, which in turn is distributed to the investors by way of appreciation in the equity that they hold within the investment, either in the firm here, in the firm which is FTX. Whenever such things happen, you find that, and there are certain finely established rules. Suppose I am putting $1,000, and say I'm putting this $1,000 into my wallet, and I want to buy X amount of Bitcoin or Ethereum or tokens, then the money has to be set aside only for that purpose and nothing else. You cannot take that money and use it for anything else. This was the problem in 2008, 2009. You can go back to other problems in early 90s in the bond trading. You can go back to late 1999, 2001, what happened in the internet kind of an era as to what they did. So we'll get to the root of the problem. So when somebody decides to break the rules and conflict with the fundamental etiquettes, then you get into a situation of financial fraud and then things going awry. I can go back to my experiences I don't know whether many people can remember, Nick Leeson in Bearings in Singapore. He was trading on futures and he had lost positions against the bets that he made. He said, if I take more bets, then I can not only cover losses, but I can also make some profit for my company. And then you have to ask the question whether his compliance and his legal people, how did they allow this to happen? Well, they allowed this to happen in search of, I use the word, greed and profit have same desires. And along with it comes the fraud. They also have same desire. So therefore, when you combine greed with fraud and profit is the driver, what you have is a calamity of gigantic proportions. We will get to what happened in FTX. This is exactly what happened. The greed, as well as the abnormal amount of money thrown at this fellow and surrounded by cahoots of political clout, made him blink and pursued a path of trading, and he had accumulated losses which he could not cover. By the way, what did he do? Almeida took positions, but Almeida had no assets to back against the trading. So it was reliant on the capital that was held in FTX. Now, whose capital is in FTX? It is the individual investor's capital, which is in FTX. You cannot take that money and then pledge it. And once that happens, when your clients come back or customers come back and say, I want to redeem my coins or I want to take back my money, there's no money. Money is gone because it's pledged. This is what has happened in the case of FTX. I will pause, Sridharji, for you to ask some questions.
The first question that comes foremost in my mind, Sridharji, is this company is incorporated in the Bahamas. Was there any reason for doing that, sir?
The law is very favorable. The tax system is very favorable. And I don't want to pre-jump the investigations that are going on. It says the bankruptcy lawyers, as well as the proceedings in New York, Manhattan, states that somehow the Bahamas ecosystem allowed withdrawal of deposits from the FTX system, which they should not have allowed given the circumstances. Now, I'm preempting here. Investigations will come out. There's a lot of favorable circumstances that usually the regulation is, I won't use the word slack, but the regulation is very favorable and accommodative besides the tax-free structure and the anonymity of the funds.
Now, the big problem, I have to say this is a problem, is for the Democrats, if you think of all the crypto investors as a category, FTX was the biggest investor in Democratic Party of various candidates, a total of $39 million. And if you look at that way, it's number one. If you look at the total number of any person donating money to the Democratic Party, it's number two after George Soros. This is a huge embarrassment for the Democratic Party because if you look at it, the people from the length and breadth of the party have taken money from him, sir. How come this didn't happen before the elections?
Shriji, I think that this is a pretty loaded question, which is, look, I think the politicians will always say, we always act in good faith. So Shriji comes and says, I'll give you 10 million, will you come? I says, yeah, I'll come. I don't investigate or I don't do your due diligence on the source of 10 million. Sridhar Chityala ji comes and says, I'll give you 25 million. Will you come and do? Yeah, why not? I come. And there will be a song and dance, and this is Bahamas. We had Bill Clinton and we had even Tony Blair singing and dancing in Bahamas, great geek and This guy is well known. He has got a Formula One sponsorship. He has the rights for the Miami arena in where the Miami Heat plays. So he's a big boss. He's a big boy, and he is an MIT. His pedigree and credentials are exemplary, and he's got I think Sam Wang, if I'm correct, his name, the ex-Google guy, is. So you got all the kind of the rich pedigrees and the connections associated, and so people kind of look at these things in a superficial context. Now, the point that you're making is, what did the regulators do when somebody is standing up and saying, I'm generating every day 85% return on capital? Somebody has to wake up and say, how can you do every day 85%? Something, tremendously kind of wrong. But then these entities are non-regulated, unregulated. So when you have unregulated entities, this is the situation that you kind of get into. Only those who are capable of losing their pants and shirts and going back to the wardrobe and changing their pants and shirts should be getting into this business. Every time Dick and Harry thinks that he's an expert on these kinds of platforms and gets his foot in, then he's going to cut himself a very sorry figure, because he has no wardrobe to go to, Sriji.
I'm reminded of Russell Peters saying, sir, somebody is going to get hurt real bad. Somebody.
Yeah.
So, but it amazes me, Sridharji, that this news was held back until after the election was over.
No, I think I won't use the word November 7th or 8th, if the sequence of events is correct.
Friday is when he filed for
November 7th or 8th. Beyonce, which is the second largest crypto exchange after Coinbase,
right.
Decided to liquidate some of its FTT, which is the tokens, which it held in FTX, and they found that there were some challenges in that liquidation process. Then I think around November 10th or 11th. Our friend Sam Beekman approached CJ, the CEO of Beyonce, and said, hey, I've got some liquidity issues. Can you come and do your due diligence and take over? We should merge. You are the second largest. I am the third largest. Okay. So I don't see any kind of conspiracy theory here. It just happened that the dates seem to kind of intermingle here. Then when they did the due diligence, within a few hours, he realized this company has got a problem and the accounting has a problem. So therefore, there is no liquidity here. So therefore, I quickly withdrew that offer. And since then, I think the troubles began. He filed for the bankruptcy. And while the bankruptcy proceedings were going on, they found that some of the money had been withdrawn from Bahamas. And that's what has resulted in this chaos that we are witnessing right now, Sriji.
Just before we sat down for this recording, I was looking at, I think it was CNBC, and they're reporting that close to $2 to $3 billion is still missing. And these are all in Bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies. And they think that this has been stashed away somewhere carefully outside of the, to be able to figure it out. So the story is just begun. A lot of things are going to happen. So this is basically mismanagement of one of the highest orders, because I'm also reading a thread where a CPA has gone through the operations of FTX, where they're saying that, this guy gets a personal loan of $1 billion. The founder.
You can get anything, G, because the reason is, that's why it's called venture capital or private equity. The word venture capital and private equity stands for those big boys who have deep pockets, who have people who can look beyond the obvious and put their money. They sit on the boards and they feel that these rocket scientists within the financial world or any other world should be given due recognition and support, so the pursuit of innovation and profit continues. So it's a very flexible and accommodative system. You can go back to every crisis. You can go back to mortgage 2002, 2003 crisis. You can go back to internet crisis 1999, 2001. You can go back to the bond market crisis. You can go into the 2008, 2009 crisis. You can go into 2003, 2004, insider trading crisis. You can go into the Enron crisis. You will find the underlying thematic in each one of this is conscious people willing to wink an eye and enable transactions which will escape the conventional wisdom. That is how you find we get into this kind of a situation. It's very, very unfortunate, but that's part of the free market and free trading world. You slug it out, some win, many lose. So that's how I kind of look at this, Sriji.
Thank you so much, Sridhar ji. And again, we will revisit this maybe in a couple of weeks' time when there is a little bit more determination of what the faults are, where things are going to lie. I'm reasonably sure the money will be traced. The shocker here is that this is not. I don't think this has got anything to do with the crypto market as such. This is just gross negligence. Can I say that, sir?
Gross fraud.
Gross fraud, right. So we should not say that just because FTX has failed that there's going to be a domino effect. Can we say that?
No.
Yeah.
No. So as you say, I mean, you come from, you have 40 patents. You come from the semiconductor industry. The semiconductor is the underpinning epitome of, this mining and quantum leap computation.
It's all Intel's fault. Don't take it to heart, Intel.
So I think it is the story. So I think that the power of computing and the power of innovation should never be confused with the illusion of fraud. The illusion of fraud is what you're witnessing here. Again, if you take a look at FTX as a platform, all the underlying technologies and capabilities, mining, tokenization, connectivity to the exchanges, buying and selling, trading. When I say trading, you buy Bitcoin and you can sell Ethereum, or you can sell Ethereum and buy Bitcoin. Those types of exotic types of things. It was working. It worked, and connectivity to the back end. That's why they had 1 million people. That's why they were doing zillions of dollars. But what then happened is they took the money that was only for the purpose of the core business and began to engage in activities outside of the ecosystem so that they don't get monitored. And they pledged the assets of the good business for a bad karma. And what happened is the bad karma completely engulfed even the good karma. And in the process, they went from billionaires to maybe, complete paupers. But as you rightly said, this is, the whole concept of mining and tokenization and this crypto is all about anonymity and simplicity. Anonymity and simplicity. Right? That is why we have digital currencies. Currencies, even governments are embarking on a plan to digitize the currencies so that there is minimum effect on exchange rates, and there is efficiency around the execution and the settlement rather than a complex process and creating a settlement risk. But that everything works if people follow rules and if people follow procedures. But in this case, that's not the case. That doesn't mean Coinbase is bad. That doesn't mean Beyonce is bad or others are bad. They're all kind of conducting and transacting business. Any entity that commits a fraud is bound to falter and fail, Sriji. And you have said very correctly that delineate between the core and competency from the instance of the fraud. The instance of the fraud is the problem, and the core components of the innovation and technology is not the issue.
Thank you so much, Sridhar ji. That was wonderful listening to you about what happened to FTX. Stay tuned, folks. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you. And have a wonderful day or wonderful evening, wherever you are.